Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm Gabriel, even though the name tag is not showing. So I'm Gabriel Wong. I'm the AI solution architect at AI for NGO, and I have a background in data science and machine learning. And today I'm very happy to be able to do a lot more educational things, which I can help people to get very hands-on with their practice. And so with that being said, I find custom GPT a very helpful and practical tool once you start applying it. I'm going to start sharing my screen and with a little bit of background knowledge sharing. Could you see my screen?
Yep, we see.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for confirming. And so, first session, design and deploy your first custom GPT. And since Grace already mentioned and also introduced us, I will just skip this part to directly to what kind of result we are expecting today. So today I want to help everyone to understand the system behind popular AI tools. As even though like most of the time we're just looking at a chat interface and we're typing in message and getting messages in return, there are a lot of things going on at the back. And the more we understand them, the better we know how to interact with such AI systems. And the secondly, I want everyone to be able to walk away and understand what custom GPTs are and what are their specific use cases, so when to use them because they don't apply everywhere. And sometimes a regular chat GPT might just work better. And third, we want you to work along with us, design a custom GPT with clear instructions and parameters, and we will also show you how this can be done in a step-by-step manner. And a little additional requirements here is that you need to be able to create a custom GPT if you have an active ChatGPT Plus subscription or a team subscription, but even if you don't have such subscription, if someone shares a custom built GPT with you, you can still use it, and vice versa. If you build a custom GPT and you want to share it with someone or your team members, even if they don't have such subscription, they can still use it. So with that being said, fundamentally, what is a custom GPT? What are we trying to build? And I think like to answer this question, it's often good to look at the contrast. So a regular chat GPT, I would describe it as a general assistant or a generalist who can produce various types of outputs, no matter if you want to email or you want to also like audio output, or you want to have formatted tables, etc. And but oftentimes when we're interacting with ChatGPT, I think if you have experience, we know that it's really important to be able to write good prompts. And sometimes writing a good prompt is quite a complex task. It takes time, it takes skills, and you also need to be able to provide a lot of detailed context so that it knows that what project it's working on, who are you, or what is the organization is about. And so when we get, as we become more advanced with our prompting, like things could get like rolling bigger and bigger. And so on the other hand, a custom GPT is a very specialized assistant who focuses on doing one task and doing this one task really well. And this means that it has this predefined context and instructions. And so basically say that you have a well-structured prompt and it has been working for the past, and maybe this is where you can apply it, make it into a custom GPT, and where you can use this very specific GPT to help you with this task, and you don't have to rewrite these prompts over and over again. And so to find ChatGPT, to find the custom GPT, you just simply need to navigate to your day-to-day ChatGPT or regular interface. And in the sidebar where we normally go to a new chat and we start a new conversation, and basically, and here we also see some more features. So library where you generated image in the past, you can find new apps or use coding tool, and oftentimes you will find additional GPTs. And this is where you can find more GPTs. And you can also explore GPTs created by other people by clicking on Explore GPTs. And then you will be able to see or navigate to this marketplace where you can look at different GPTs created by different people, teams, or companies. And here you can also share your own custom version of ChatGPT that combine instructions, extra knowledge, and any combination of skills. You can also search for more different GPT on specifically what task you're trying to fulfill. And so this is a very simple way how you can navigate and find the custom GPT. And here you will be able to find your own personal or team built GPTs, and here is where you can create. And so coming back to our knowledge part, so when and why we want to build a custom GPT. I mean, since ChatGPT is so versatile, it can do so many things at the same time. And so here I find four reasons. Maybe you have found more, but first is that if you do a task very frequently, and so this helps you to avoid writing the same prompt that every time you complete a task. And you also need more specialized responses. For instance, you need to have very specific knowledge of this policy document or the organization, or you want to you want the output to be special to be formatted in a very specific way. So instead of always writing this prompt to make it or to have very complex interaction, you can use a custom GPT. And third is that when you need consistency, so you can get consistency through repeating this process, or like because this custom GPT is so specialized in this, you get consistent output for the same task, consistent format for the same task. And so this is also a really good reason for it. And lastly is if you figured out, for instance, a prompt or a use case that works really well, and you would like to scale this efficiency or you want to scale this AI process to your team, or maybe you want to share it with people that are external from your organization, this custom GPT allows you to do so without sharing prompt and write a lot of very complex instructions. So you can basically build very easily a team of specialized GPT assistants. And here I give a few examples. And you will realize that some of them can be really, really simple. And this could be a starting point of creating your first custom GPT, but it can also then get to a very complex level of custom GPT where it can also command different or have different subtasks and as the basis of more complex agentic system. But here we can focus on some fundamentals and look at the reason for building them. So first we can have email drafting specialist. Like I use AI to improve my email a lot. And so this is a frequent task that I do. And it also requires me to have very consistent tone from the email. So this is a good use case for a custom GPT. And the second is to, for instance, we can have a procurement policy specialist or safety policy specialist. Here, we would require this GPT to have specialized knowledge. And you may also want to scale this AI process of procurement to the rest of your team. So this is also a good use case for it. Or potentially you do weekly data reporting. And so this is a frequent task, but every week you may get different data or data sets, and then you still need to generate the same format of the report, and it requires specialized knowledge about what kind of output this report needs. But you're changing the data, so you're doing this frequent. So this is also a good use case that ticks many boxes. And lastly, it could also be, once again, very simple. You have a meeting notes specialist where this is a frequent task, and you also need consistent format for your action items, etc.
Hey, bro, can I pause you here for a second?
Yes.
Because we have a question from Bernhard.
Yes.
Gabi, I'm doing something like that in my streams in the library. So I at least theme related. Yeah, maybe not. My question is what? So I'm just feeding constantly in this specific stream then to this theme questions, or even in terms of research and in terms of tone and so on and so on. So what is the additional value to build a custom GPT in relation to just customize the streams?
You mean stream? What do you mean by streams? Stream
Stream
of,
could
as in
be
like
in the
one chat?
library. Yeah, in the chat. So I've opened one on, let's say, the policy report. Our policy report. So I started already when I built it up, and I asked questions around it, and I went deeper and deeper. And so when I get
Mm-hmm.
answers, the ChatGPT is always relating already to the
Mm-hmm.
previous conversation we had to this specific issue. Then I
Mm-hmm.
have one where I am just doing my emails with my teams, so I'm constantly doing it, and then
Yeah.
I get the tone already from this
Yeah.
specific stream. So, what is the additional value which you would get for by a custom ChatGPT?
Okay, so I would say the additional value is exactly what you are doing because what you are doing is to very consistent. So you figured out a way to build your own custom GPT basically without like really. So custom GPT is what OpenAI provides to people to do exactly what you just described, but in a simpler and more consistent way. And so,
Hmm.
for instance, like you use one chat very consistently doing this. But for instance, what if you also would like to share it with the rest of your team because you create a problem solving framework and then you want to be able to also share it with other people. And so this makes it, I would say like the additional value in your case with that, it would be something that's more shareable. But since you already built your own custom GPT for those specific use cases, you can continue to use that. Or if you already figured out a really good prompt, you can just also use that prompt. And
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you. I mean, the prompt would be maybe then an additional added value, I would say. Yeah, and
yeah,
so to have a very good prompt because, of course, I'm just doing prompting constantly, but maybe not in the kind of meta prompt or how, I don't know
yeah,
exactly how you name that.
exactly. And this is something that we will come back to very soon. Yeah. Thank you for asking the question real quick. And so here I also just want to quickly show basically what other types of GPT that are currently on the market. So here, for instance, like also one distinction is that like you can create a GPT and you can use this GPT, you can share this GPT with the rest of the world basically on OpenAI's platform. You can also share it very internally, only with your team, or you can use it for your personal use. And so here I found this Green Grant Guru GPT built by someone else, and here it's an AI guide for EU funding, trained on detailed EU grant manuals and live project documents. And here it can help simplify the search for EU financial support, make it easy and accessible. And so here, and it included a few initial starting questions. And so sharing it with external is also one way to share basically your knowledge or certain process with other people. And here, this is something that I built for our team because we need to transform a source document, so like a public event transcription, because we constantly have webinars or workshops or smart sessions. And afterwards, we need to create an event report or a social media post or a thank you email using the same document. And here it can help to transform documents from one way to the other. And this can be then shared with the rest of my team, and then everybody can do this. Yeah. And so how does an assistant like ChatGPT actually work? And so here I want to take everybody a little bit behind the scene and to understand then like why if I also like constantly chat in the same box or in the ch same chat, the answer will be a lot more customized. And if sometimes like the entire conversation gets too long, maybe the ChatGPT starts to lose focus or don't understand what we were actually trying to do. And so, because this is how they work behind the scene. And even though we don't like often humanize AI chatbots like ChatGPT or Claude, here this is a good analogy for us to understand it. And so, say that ChatGPT is your assistant, it has a few things to help it to work. And so the first thing is the system prompt, and this is kind of like the policy manual of your organization and the job description of this specific assistant. And so this system prompt is what shapes the assistant's overall character and behavior. And this is also what Bernhard just described as the meta prompt. So this thing comes before all the other interactions. And then it's the user message. This is something that we regularly engage and interact in. So this is kind of like the current request that is sent to your assistant, and this is the immediate instruction on the task to be done. What do you want it to do? Write an email, creating a report, etc. And the third component is that there are also uploaded documents, and sometimes we upload the PDF documents or an Excel, and these are materials that it can refer to. These are not things that are actually training the AI model. These are additional information that the assistant can search through like an encyclopedia and refer back to help them get the things done. And they also have a set of tools equivalent to an assistant's office equipment. So these are things that assistant can use to complete a task. For instance, specific task only requires web search, and some other task also involves image generation. But you can select what tools an assistant have or not. And lastly, this is the memory file. And so this is kind of like your assistant would take personal notes alongside your request. And so while the conversation starts to become longer or the projects start to become more complex, these are the things that it helps the assistant to keep track of the request and the task. And so amongst all, basically what we are normally capable of influencing is simply the user message and uploaded documents. And we can't really touch on the system prompt, the tools, and memory file. And with custom GPT, basically we are suddenly open to everything except for apart from the memory file. And so this is a lot more possibility for us to create something that's very specific and we can define how it acts and constrain its focus. And so most importantly, to build a custom GPT is to define your own system prompt. And so this is the practice that we're going to do today. And here later, like in today's smart session, we have 3 steps to build this functioning GPT, and we would like you to follow along with us. You will be sent a workbook that you can use and you can also refer to at a later time. So the very simple 3-step is to first do the preparation. Here we're just gonna think through our use case and we're trying to define it. And then we're going to write our first version of the system prompt. And it's only the first version because we will need to interact and test it and to improve it. And so logically, the last step would be to improve, which is to test your GPT and maybe share it with other people, get feedback, and improve it altogether. And I think due to time limits, we will be focusing on the very first 2 today. But you can use the workbook as a takeaway to continuously improve on it. And to also illustrate how it would look like. So here, this is the GPT that I built. I can go edit it behind the scene. And so normally when you enter such GPT creation process, you would have this interface. So on the left side, this is where you can use to define the custom GPT. And on the right side, this is a little chat window where you can simulate the conversation that the user and the GPT will have. And so here is for testing and here for defining. And you would have create and configure. On this side, when you click on create, basically you can ask ChatGPT to help you create a GPT, but this often gets a little bit too confusing and also it's a little bit generic. So today's session, we will be focusing on using configuration. And so you go to configure, and here are basically the layout that you will see. And we will define the name of the GPT that you want to have, a simple description for what it does, and we will have a set of instruction, and this is where we will lay out the system prompt, and a set of conversation starters to help users to use this custom GPT. Potentially, we have things that we want to upload, and also we can select which model to use and the set of capabilities that the GPT can have. So these are the tools that we can select, and it's best to select only relevant tools for your task. And later we will also come back to this. And so far, I would like to know if there are any questions before we diving into actually getting to work on things.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have a
Can
question?
you hear? Yes. I'm trying to make the same steps as you did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on ChatGPT
Mm-hmm.
and I need to know where I should go first.
Okay, let me share my screen and we can go through this together. So when we're on ChatGPT, open your sidebar. So your sidebar may be closed. If you open it,
Okay.
you can find, if you have already used GPT, you will find Explore GPTs. But if not, under at this area, you should be able to find GPTs.
Okay. Yes.
And when you click on it, you should be sent to this specific interface. You will see GPTs, and these are a list of GPTs that were created by other people.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yes. And when we are going through the creation process, and you just simply need to click on the upper right corner, and there is a create, and you will be sent into this specific place.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you for asking. I hope this is clear.
Yeah. Um, Mine says, "Hi, I'll help you build a new ChatGPT,"
Yeah, exactly.
and you can
So
say something like blah blah blah.
yeah. So here is where in the interface you can type and ask basically ChatGPT to help you to create this GPT. Or we can go into configure, and this is where we can have more control and more specific instructions set by ourselves and defined by ourselves in this process. And you can certainly use this create to go through this process, but you can also click on configure, and this is what we're going to do in the next, in the rest of the smart session.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And do we have other questions? And thank you for your question. I hope this is clear for everyone now.
All right, I think if there's no questions though at the moment, maybe it's nice to get started. I sent already this custom GPT workbook, which is in the chat. So let us know if you're having any problem downloading it. Otherwise, we'd love if you can have it open because we're going to start to work on this part now together.
Yeah, it would be nice if you can give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you managed to navigate to the chat section and also if you have received the workbook.
Yes, so upload it again.
Perfect.
There it is. We have some thumbs up.
Nice. Okay.
Great. So as you open it up as well, we will also be opening up an example to work through together. So the point of working on this now is to simultaneously work both you as part of the same workshop and me as a representative of AI for NGO about showing you exactly how we're going to fill out this formula. An important thing, you can just listen along if you want, it works better for you, but if you'd like to also use your example at the same time, might be helpful, and we can also raise any questions at the same time and ask for the help from Gabriel to make sure we're doing this activity correctly. So I guess I'll start us off by just looking together at what we have here in the document. And I will give my context, which is that I'm hoping to build something for my role, which is as a skill lab communication person. I want to create a draft for a tool that could help potential users to learn more about our offerings. So the first thing we need to do is to look at this set of questions that we have here, which you can read yourself as well. But our first question is to know, is this something I do repetitively? Do I write about the same prompt all the time? Do I need consistency in the output? And sorry, this next one here. It requires specialized knowledge. And do I want my AI-powered efficient process with my team? Do I want to share this? For me, this really is something I need consistency with for sure. It's a repetitive task more for the users of this. It's something that will require some specialized knowledge according to what we would like it to tell about our offerings. And I think I want to share this with some team members, but for sure with the audience that is going to be inquiring about Skill Lab. So I already sort of named my use case here, but maybe you have something else specific as well. Maybe you want to improve a grant writing process. You decide you want to help some part of email automation. You can fill in that use case there. Maybe you came prepared with one already. That would be great. So I will dive into step one, which is kind of the first important part of defining what is the use case more specifically so that I can engineer my prompt. And for me, the goal of the GPT is to answer the questions about our services and Skill Labs courses so that it can fit with the needs of the organization who is inquiring. And that's pretty clear for me. In terms of the output, so the second question, I'm going to look for some answers that are more short. I don't want it to spit out a paragraph. I wanted to do something that's also in line with what they would like to do with AI and to provide our contact information. And moving on to the third, what will the user, so the person who's going to interact with this, need from this chatbot? They will need to provide a description of what their organization does, and they will need to tell us maybe about a problem they are encountering in their organization and what they hope or would like to use AI for. And an important part of this is the relevant documents, because I don't want it to reference things from nowhere. I would like it to use something specific, which is our website and the information we have about Skill Lab, which is located there. And the last section, which is tools, which we saw before when we were looking at the actual platform. I want to use specifically the web search tool because I wanted to be able to look at our website about what's happening with Skill Lab. And I don't think I will really need image generation or any of the other tools at the moment. So just the web search tool. So that's my section one. I gave it some information more broadly about what I'd like it to do. And now the more detailed part is going to be writing the actual prompt. And that I know is something that I have experience with because if you are like me, you've written a lot of prompts and you've engineered them well after listening to these courses in AI for NGO, just when I use ChatGPT normally. So I have some experience, but I'm going to have to get a little bit more detail in this version. So first, we're going to define the objective and the role of my custom GPT. So I have to be a customer success agent in this case, and I want to suggest some suitable ways that we can support the user and their organization. And moving into my context, this is to talk more about my audience in this case. So many nonprofit organizations have little resources, but they're doing important work, like all of you. And we want to help you find ways to use AI to support work. Our Skill Lab is our professional education platform, so that's important information for the chatbot to know. And then we move into what is the task. So this is the actual things that will happen when you interact with this chat. So I need to figure out what are the sequential items that are going to happen when somebody types in something into this chat. And what will my chatbot be saying to the user? So the first step is that I want to ask the users for information about themselves so that I can know a description of their organization, what problems they're encountering, and what will they use AI for. And then Once this step is completed, I will then ask the chatbot to use the web browsing tool to look at our websites so we can find matching information in the description and to generate then a thoughtful suggestion based on that. And I provided the links here, which is important, so it knows where to go. And lastly, I want to provide the contact details from our side and invite the user who's chatting with us to an initial free chat. And there are also two important things, the email address and the link to our scheduling calendar app. And the very last section, which is something very important, are the rules. So these are the things I really need it to do and the things I really do not need it to do. So I only wanted to search the web with the two links that I provided, or the third link with the calendar scheduling. I also wanted to answer like a human, and like I said, I don't want it to respond as a page of answers, but a short, reasonable response. And to not invent information, so not creating something or hallucinate that's not really what we represent. And to not use emojis because we find them a bit overused. And to also focus on understanding the need of our client and to be sure that if it can't answer, that it will suggest us to be contacted directly. So this is our example here at AFRNGO. We actually created this as an example for you all. I know I went through the answers quite quickly, but maybe it was a good illustration for you. And I hope you're also able to understand it a bit better, how these prompts can shape what we're actually going to build here. So maybe we can see this in action if you're looking at the screen now, how our service advisor turned out.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. Thank you for giving the example. And this is our service advisor. Thank you for introducing this. I'm very curious, like, if this is clear enough with the workbook and how it's going to work out for you. And if you would like to also take a little bit more time to actually look at the questions, think a little bit clearer and deeper, or if you would like to share the problem that you actually would like to solve and the specific use case of yours, because this morning we have had some participants sharing their use cases, and it was very interesting. And some of them, I have to say, was really like on point for creating custom GPT.
Yes, Bernhard?
Be ready to go for a use case, but only if anybody else, no, it's just an offer.
I mean, let's hear it. If someone else has a use case or a question, you can feel free to leave it as well in the comments. We can continue to collect those there.
Shall I?
Yeah.
Okay. Just released a new report, which
Great.
is in a way, which is the center of our program work, which is the day center model, which we created and which we will where we have 20 day centers in Concordia, and we also want to offer this model to the rest of the world. So what I would like to do is to use all the information we have in there, and there's a lot of information put together as a kind of mother document to provide different product communication products. The one would be for postings, the second one would be for emails, where I just introduce part of this report. The third would be for grant proposals, other stuff where we also include that. So I would like to have this as a source of different beautiful communication material, and it should always just. And then I can add some other material in relation to that, but it would be always in the middle, this kind of day center model, which is just the heart of our work. Does it make sense to create a chat custom GPT for that?
I think like as much as I would like to answer you directly, I think like I would ask people to first navigate to the document and look at, does it make sense to build a custom GPT? And personally, I think in this case, it makes perfect sense. I think it requires good consistency in the AI generated output, as in like it should consistently refer to and be correct about the data center model,
Hmm.
and also maintain a good tone and to be able to share this knowledge. And I also see that this requires very specialized knowledge, and then you already know which specific document that you would like to use as sort of like the source knowledge. And so this is also very important. And lastly, you want to share the AI-powered process with not the rest of your team. It could also be the rest of your team because they may also want to refer to or ask questions about this document, but it could also be shared with the rest of the world like you expected. So I think this is a use case that ticks a lot of boxes. Yeah.
Didn't even think about the third option, but of course this also makes sense. Yeah, so we could actually offer this GPT also to other organizations or to other stakeholders.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think it's quite helpful. But of course, very important is to think through and write the good system prompt.
Exactly. Do you want to do that for me now?
Do I want to do that for you now? I think we can look at if there's no like more questions, I think we can look at a little bit more at the system prompt section and explain why they look like the way they are. Um, Otherwise, yeah. But I think still like writing the system prompt, I don't think we can finish this right now.
No, no,
But I
you
think
don't
like
have to. But
yeah.
you can grill me and challenge me and see if I'm precise enough also to write a good. Hopefully, others can learn from that. Definitely, I will.
Hmm. Yeah. Would But just to know if there are additional questions that would that other people have right now, but before we actually get very hands-on and look at this.
I just saw a question from Sonia saying that I'm interested in using ChatGPT and finding new versions of headlines for the header of the website. Would you recommend that?
So to find new versions of headlines for the header of websites, I think if this is something that you have, if this is a process which you do very frequently, or you need consistency in the output and so requires very specialized knowledge because this header, I don't know, in this case could be, for instance, like very specific related to your own organization. Yes. Or if you want to, yeah, enable other people in your team to do this, I would also say yes. And especially the case if you already have a very good prompt. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Hmm?
I think
Thank you
it's
very
very
much.
important.
Yes, that helps. I will try
Okay, nice.
it.
I think it's very important to figure out if this is a use case for a custom GPT or not, because
Mhm,
like sometimes it might just be better that yeah, you use it in a regular chart.
mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can I ask that question right now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've done a few of these custom GPTs before, but I'm sometimes not very clear about the use of what we call the knowledge folder.
Mm,
What kind of typical information that usually we put there? Sometimes I found it useful to put a general template so that the it can supplement the prompt with a more structured way of thinking. So could you sort of generally reflect on that part?
mhm.
Thanks.
Yes, I also find this is a very good question. I think this is a question that came from experiences. I would once again share my screen so that people know what we are talking about more specifically. So here we're talking about this knowledge base where you can upload files to use, if I understood correctly, Rajesh.
Sorry, that's correct. Indeed. Yeah.
Okay. And so I think a lot of time this is a very tricky part to understand like what is to be put into your prompt. So the instructions, the system prompt, and when you should upload files. And how these systems work behind is that the instructions is a more direct effect that will shape the characteristics and the direct behavior pattern of the chatbot. And so if you also want to offer examples, and this is a very good place to do it in the system prompt. So things that you want to be very direct, clear, you should do it here. And the knowledge base is when you upload files, and these files often can so this can be searched through by the chatbot. And so it will use this more as a reference or encyclopedia. Or for instance, like when we have a policy document and I need to understand if I can actually like or how like if I want to procure, say, 100 desks for the daycare center, what should I do here? And so these are documents that could be referred to, and instead of like this is being the core behavioral instruction. And so this is very important to figure out. And one thing I would say that's really tricky when it comes to knowledge is that sometimes people think that the more context we can provide in the knowledge, the better. But then they end up with a result that is also very scattered or like things are overly referenced in your documents because you can actually upload quite a great amount of documents here. And so here to try to really focus on the documents that are very relevant to the custom GPT to complete the task. And so here it's a little bit of a less is more kind of situation. So I hope that helps with, as a general rule of thumb, on what to use, when to write in the system prompt, when to upload documents for knowledge. So here, direct, clear instruction on exactly what to do and provide the most clear, simple examples. And here is creating references. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's no more questions, I think we can also go back to Bernhard.
Yeah, I think I would be mainly interested in this instruction. So how to define the instruction? Because I understand how to upload a document or
Yeah.
also other documents. That I think I would maybe but how to write a useful instruction would be helpful for me. And for the rest, I can can then work and
Yeah. Yeah.
do my,
Okay.
my own thing. But maybe you can help me on that.
Yeah, I mean, that is very much the crux of this. And
Okay.
so before we dive into yours, I would say um, I quickly share what we already have in the example to just provide a little bit more clarity here.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we have objective and rule. So here we have four sections. And of course, you can create more sections, but these are the fundamentals, I would say, the pillars of what we're doing here. And objective plus role is that here we are defining the central objective of what is this task, what is to be completed, and setting role oftentimes, because we know that AI chatbots are fundamentally very good at role playing. And the better you can set this role, and you can always like also encourage it, saying that you're an absolute expert or you're a senior strategist. It often helps it to take on this role and think better. And so this is a good prompting principle and that you can use. Context is very important because here is what or like most relevant information that it needs. In your case, I would even say that like instead of only if you have a very clear model of the daycare center, instead of leaving it in the long document or the document that you just showed me, you can also directly put it here as the context. So this is more directly that it will understand or be able to use like at every interaction. So
Mm-hmm.
here you leave the most important context that you have. Task is the specific details of what do you need to do. So the task here is like oftentimes it's very helpful if you break it down into step two, one, two, three, four. It's basically a scenario building. How does this workflow look like at each section? Do I need new input? How would the output look like? And will this output become new input for the step two? And how does the output from step two become input for step three? And so this is a very detailed scenario on how you would like it to work. And fourth is the rules. And I think this is where people really like are not doing in terms of like trying to get good results because AI can do a lot and it overdo things all the time. And so here is about what not to do, what absolutely not to do. And if you really want to stress it, even like write it in all cap. Basically, you're kind of like screaming at the AI, this is do not do this or absolutely do this. And so these four pieces together, I would say helps form like hold the overall structure of your system prompt. And another, I would say, tips here is to structure them. You can refer to a markdown file or other sort of like syntax to mark them with special things to basically signify this is a different section. Or you can use star signs, you can use dollar signs to basically signify, oh, this is a meta level step-by-step things. Yeah, would you like to also look at your prompt or tell me what do you think for your system prompt so far? Because otherwise, we also have the next proposed smart session would actually be focusing on fixing the prompting issues.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I think I understand. Also, I like the section of the rules because I
Hmm.
think it makes it much clearer. So I have an understanding how I could write this instruction. This is already quite helpful. Thank you very much, Gabriel.
Okay. I'm glad that I could help. Yes. I see hands up. Would you like to?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Uh, I noticed under your rules section that you had negative rules. Do not do this, do not that. About a year ago, when I first started orientating myself, back then the advice was, I believe, at least the advice that I heard was that not to use negative rules, to use
Hmm.
only positive rules, if you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Has that changed? Because everything keeps changing all the time, and the capacity of AIs keep, of course, growing
Hmm.
all the time.
Yeah. I think this is, I would say what you said absolutely makes sense because once again, like we are like AI are fundamentally role playing with humans. And so this is also why like we should always be very polite with our AI models because like in normal interaction, the more polite and the more motivating you can make the AI because like there were also tests that if you promise the AI to give it higher pay, it would work harder, think harder, and produce better output. And so you can motivate AI through this, and not giving negative input is also good. But the very important thing here is that when it comes to rules, these are very simple rules that are very simple limitations that sometimes you just cannot phrase them in another way. For instance, it's difficult for me to phrase in a positive way to rephrase, do not use emojis. It's like it's difficult to say that use text only, but then like maybe it would also think that, oh, does numbers also is included in this, or like what if Unicode is also included in this? So to put it in the simplest way, the rules should always be very simple, very direct. And in this kind of cases, it's okay, I think, to use
Mhm.
strong words say do not use emojis or
Yeah,
like
and it
yeah,
wasn't so much that I was thinking that it might be confusing, but or impolite, but more. Although I know exactly what you said
yeah,
about the importance of being polite, but that it's actually might be confusing that the AI. But that's like a year ago, right? That the
yeah,
AI would start actually focusing on doing exactly that.
exactly,
And we know with humans that once we're
yeah.
told not to do something, we start thinking about it a lot.
Exactly. Is it say when we say do not think about a pink elephant, we always
Yes.
think about a pink elephant.
Yeah.
It's very true for AI, especially when it comes to image generation. But like I said, for very specific like this kind of cases, I do believe that today's AI have the capability to have these very clear rules. Because
Thank
for
you.
instance, there are also system prompts because system prompts is also what is behind the everyday ChatGPT, and there are a set of things that it cannot discuss. For example, it cannot encourage self-harm, this kind of thing, right? And this it must be phrased very directly in such clear language that is not allowed in a negative way. So, yeah, so I think this is my general understanding when it comes to this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
I just want to bring attention to one thing that was left in the chat. It's not a question, but it was the prompt of Christoph, like something that he wants to use ChatGPT for, which would
Hmm.
be inner development event scout, which could regularly identify and curate public and semi-public events focused on inner development at practitioner or research levels, delivers high quality opportunities with clear summaries, links, and contextual relevance.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
it
would,
sounds like a very nice idea.
yeah, I think this is a nice idea. And if Christoph, you would like to elaborate a little bit on your use case and
Yeah,
also like what are your reasons behind this, would be very nice.
yeah. Unfortunately, I'm happy to elaborate a little bit on this, but I need to drop out precisely at 5. I'm just
Okay.
flagging this. Yeah, I'm the co-founder of an organization called Liony. We are actually working in the field of inner development,
Mm-hmm.
supporting people working in NGOs and change makers in their own inner journey to be resilient, capacity building. So for us, it's really interesting to find events where in the development and leadership, mindful leadership development is actually a topic,
Mm-hmm.
either the main topic or part of it. And yeah, that's what I would like to regularly yeah, research on the internet and provide
Mm-hmm.
this the results to our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that sounds very, very nice. I think quickly hearing from what you just shared, I think this is something that you said that you do frequently, and maybe like the output you would also like it to be formatted very consistently or concisely, and you can share it with your team. So you also have like specialized knowledge because you have probably a set of criteria that you know
Yeah.
that's what is going to work, what is going to match with what you want to have. And so I think this is overall a pretty good use case for a custom GPT. And we also knew that you should use a web search tool. And so, yeah, very good thinking. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing with us.
Okay.
Yeah, and also related to this note and in general, these examples, because we're about to finish the session, we wanted to make sure that you are all aware that if you are still completing this document we worked on today and would like our input, we would love if you can send it to us via our email, the AIFNGO email, and then we can give you feedback. So in case there was not time to get to your questions or doubts, or you create something and you want to hear from us, if it works, we would love to help you in that way. So just keep that in mind. And as well, we would love your feedback. Well, this is our first time doing this smart session, and we want to know what kind of things were helpful from the session and what kind of things you maybe want to know in the future, because we're doing these for you all to make some practical steps in your working life.